Hello and welcome to another episode of Hacking with Friends. My name is Cody Kinsey. I am a security researcher at Varonis, and today we have Michael, our expert on cloud computing, joining us.
Cloud computing?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Cloud computing. I'm sorry.
Oh, that sounds a lot better.
Sorry. I just based on your last video we did with Hack 5, I thought you might be more into cloud computing. But if we're not going to do an episode on ICP processing, then we're probably instead going to be talking about Google Cloud Shell.
Ooh,
now,
what's that?
Yeah, so Michael, usually people ask us, what is the best way to get started with Linux? And what's our usual reply?
Raspberry Pi.
Right. Raspberry Pi, a virtual machine on your computer, making a partition on your hard drive, and having a separate bootable partition that you can boot into that's Linux. These are all suggestions we give to people who want to get started with Linux. But let's say that we're talking to someone who is like on a Chromebook and they have zero budget for any of that stuff. Maybe you're a teenager, or maybe you only have a couple devices you can work with. Well, it's kind of limited what you can do if you want to get started with Linux. So today we're going to go over one of my new favorite suggestions for getting started with some sorts of ethical hacking and Linux in general, which is using Google Cloud Shell. So Google Cloud Shell has been really helpful for me to be able to teach a class on OSINT, which I'm teaching a bunch of journalists for the Norwegian Institute of Journalism. And normally I would fly out there, I would have some assistants help me set up Linux on their computers, and this is a process that takes days. It is extensive. There's always some issue with, why that person's newsroom maybe locked down the computer and doesn't want to unlock it. And it genuinely is difficult to get Linux set up on these people's computers.
I was going to say, like, one of the most frustrating things doing any kind of workshop is everyone bringing their own different system. You got Windows, you got Mac, you got Linux, and even in Linux, you got all kinds of different distributions, and then people have different hardware. And so you spend half your time as a helper just going around getting people to install this tool, much less even like using things.
Yeah, and you'll have, a Windows error you've never seen in your life that makes no sense to you. And that can kind of derail everything. So this year, we switched over to, for most of the OSINT tools we're using, which are Python-based, using Google Cloud Shell. And I had no idea this existed until I found it while I was researching an OSINT tool called Sherlock. Now, Sherlock is very, very well maintained, and there's some websites that kind of do something somewhat similar, but really what Sherlock does is it takes a screen name and allows you to search for other instances of it on tons and tons of different other websites. So it'll let you know if someone's reusing that screen name all over the internet. Now, one of the things that's cool about it is that on the GitHub page, it allows you to click on, I believe it just says run on Google Cloud Shell, and will open a Google Cloud Shell instance, install everything you need, and start the program, which I think is a really cool way to get people to try out your program, because it doesn't say, hey, spin up a Linux virtual machine or log into your virtual box and then try out this code. It actually just does it for you and creates an instance that's really easy for anyone to use.
Yeah, when I used to write articles, how-to articles, that's something I would always do is I would just fresh install Raspberry Pi and then just go through an installing process, because I always find that a lot of guides tend to leave out steps. Like they'll already have something installed, so they'll forget to mention that. And then you're trying to follow this guide and you're like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. So having something that's already installed itself for you, that's always nice.
So there's a couple things I also really like about Google Cloud Shell. And if you start to like the service and feel like it's convenient, you can always take up a step up and get your own VPS. There's lots of different companies that will allow you to spin up a virtual machine on their servers, and then you can log into it and do whatever you want with it. So this is kind of a baby step, or like a free step to using a VPS that's already set up for you and has a lot of the stuff that you're going to need already installed. And by that I mean it has Python installed, and it knows where to install a lot of these tools that we're going to be talking about today. So I think it's a really good way if you are just getting started with Linux to be kind of non-committal. You can spin this up. And Michael, how much do you think Google Cloud Shell costs, or what do you think you need to do to get one?
$1 billion.
Yes. No. So this only costs you all of your privacy. So it's a Gmail address. So if you have a Gmail account, or if you're willing to create a Gmail account, then you can use this, and it is completely free. And that's what I really like about this. It means that even if you have an old throwaway Gmail account lurking around somewhere, that's essentially a free Debian Linux computer ready for you to use. Now, I really like the saying about cloud computing. There's no such thing as a cloud.
It's just someone else's computer.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what we're doing here. We're just using one of Google's extra servers to learn a little bit of Linux and be able to run these tools in a flexible way. Now, there are some downsides to this. For one, I find that sometimes it's not updated. So like you'll need to run update and upgrade in order to make sure that you have all the necessary updates applied, because otherwise some tools might run a little bit funky. So it's not always the latest version of Debian or whatever you are spinning up. So it's a little bit interesting that is not always
I wonder
fully
if that's
updated.
like a stability thing, like they're not updating.
Probably they do like releases, and then they do like major releases only. Like, but yeah, it's just interesting. You still need to update it. And then there's some other downsides as well. So Michael, what do you think might be some downsides to learning hacking and OSINT tools on a VPS, essentially, that's for free, like Google Cloud Shell?
Well, I mean, it's going to have limited processing power, but I don't think that's the one you're going for.
Well, there's a couple different downsides, but that's definitely one of them. You can't, if you want to go try to crack something, you're not going to be able to dedicate like a tremendous amount of processing power to trying to do cracking. So that's one good example.
Do you have sudo? You have root power?
Yeah, but there are some things you can't do. So if you try to go too deep into the directories and or try to mess with some other stuff, then it can make it difficult for you to do things that you really need a lot of permission to do. But generally, you can install and run most programs.
Internet speed might be slow sometimes.
Potentially. The worst is actually your connection to Google Cloud Shell. Okay. So if there's any disruption, you can get kicked out relatively easily. And that can be...
Will that terminate your session?
It won't terminate your session. It'll maintain your session, but also there are some other things like it'll automatically log you out after 12 hours. And if you get disconnected for a couple of seconds, it's kind of like using Google Docs, where it just like stops saving any results, and it can be kind of annoying if you're in the middle of working on something and then your internet gets temporarily interrupted.
And are there persistent files? Or do I have to download?
Yeah, so there are persistent files within your directory. Anything installed outside of that will not be persisted. So if you're installing stuff outside your home directory, then it goes away after you leave the session. So what I was going to say is IP addresses. So if you get yourself blocked by running a tool, then you're going to have to go through the process of like somehow like installing like proxies or like a VPN or something in order to get around being blocked. Because it's kind of, if you have a VPN on your own computer, it doesn't actually do anything for Google Cloud Shell. Your Google Cloud Shell instance is still going to have the same IP address. So we were teaching a lot of OSINT tools where, we were having people run automated Google searches and Google was blocking Google's IP address.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I was going to say is I do know different services will block like server farm IP addresses because people will be running a VPS or a VPN through there or other things like that. So I imagine you get blocked sooner than you would with a residential IP address.
Potentially, yeah. And you can see after running a couple tools how quickly you get blocked and at what point Google starts to, not like that. And that can be kind of a bummer for people that are learning something like this and then realize that they've been put in a timeout because their IP address is making too many automated requests. So there are a couple downsides to this that you can get around just using your own computer and a VPN. But, I think for anybody wanting to get started with just, learning Linux tools, installing Python stuff, maybe coding in Python or otherwise being able to have kind of like more flexible access to a Linux computer, this is a great option. Now, the other thing I love about it is the File Explorer. It kind of almost acts like Google Drive in that you can see files that you're creating, you can navigate the file system, and you can easily download any file that you create. So for the journalists that I'm teaching, we'll be doing something like using an OSINT tool to do a bunch of scraping of maybe Twitter posts. And we'll output that to a CSV file, and then we'll be able to just right mouse click on it, download it, and open it on our own computer, and then start analyzing it for patterns.
I think that's really useful, especially for beginners, because if you've grown up with Windows or Mac and you're used to that GUI interface, like sometimes the command line can be very intimidating. So if you have at least some level of access like that, then that's always nice.
Yeah, so let me give you guys an example of where Google Cloud Shell would be really useful. Let's say that you want to try out an OSINT tool and you want to do a bunch of scraping, and really the only thing you want is to get a big list of data that you can run through some other sort of processing. So you want to scrape like Twitter, and you go to someone's Twitter account, and maybe you want to scrape all of their tweets, all of their friends, or all of their followers, and then all the people they follow. And then you want to take that list of people that they follow and figure out who follows them and see if there's any like links between that. And this is an investigation you want to do. You can easily do that and bring and pull down those lists and then download each one to your desktop. And if you're running Windows or something, you don't need to have a virtual machine spun up or do any of this fancy stuff in order to use these tools that only work on Linux. You can open a web browser, run every one of them, and you can, if you install these tools, run them repeatedly in different sessions because they'll be saved, and you don't need to necessarily like go ahead and install them over and over. So I think that that is a great way if you just want to run a tool that, for example, like the Harvester, a great Python tool that allows you to, pull down a lot of information about someone's email address, or nowadays the Harvester is expanded to the point that it actually outputs like an HTML file that's like a complete list of all the data it found, where it found it. You can basically generate that on Google Cloud Shell and then just download the HTML file, open it in a browser on your computer, and boom, like your work is done. It's
also
really cool.
Strikes me that this would be a good tool to use if you are like, you find a tool online that's maybe a little sketchy. And you're like, I don't know if I want to run this on my computer. So you just run it on Google Cloud Shell, and if it gets infected, oh, well, just burn it down and start a new one.
Yes, however, I will say that this seems to be connected in some way to your Google Drive account. So you might want to use a burner account if you're going to be installing something malicious or nasty, because, for example, Google might think that that malicious or nasty thing that has infected your virtual like Google Linux computer doing a bunch of malicious stuff is connected with your account and ban your account for malicious activity, because they might not know that, it's you being infected and it's not you just like running a bunch of malicious tools on the thing. And to be clear, some people on my Twitter have pointed out that certain ports on Google Cloud Shell are blocked by default to discourage you from running, for example, phishing campaigns. So if you were looking to use Google Cloud Shell to run a phishing campaign, I am so sorry, it is probably not going to work.
I'm sure that they had to do that for a reason.
Yeah, somebody probably made that a rule for everybody else. But I mean, I think you can also do some very simple things like creating like a temporary website or things like that. You can do some really hacky stuff with it. And the File Explorer makes it friendly for beginners, because even if you don't want to download these files to your desktop, maybe you don't trust it, you can always go ahead and click on them. And if you have that big CSV file of data that's scraped from Twitter, you can see that inside the Explorer window. And you could preview the file, go through it, and kind of poke around, which I think is a great way of being able to check and make sure that the file you're about to download looks like it's the data that you're expecting and it's not some other random thing. But yeah, so I think that in spite of some of the issues with connections and in spite of some of the issues with having your IP address potentially get blocked by Google, as Michael said, it's a commercial IP block. So that might be different than like a residential IP address in terms of like how quickly it will get blocked for like spammy type requests that some of these tools we'll go into today might use. But I still think that, for the price of a Gmail address, which is nothing except, I guess, some privacy, it's still a great way for you guys to spin this up and get started with it. So yeah, let's go ahead and go to my screen. And then Michael, oh yeah, you're going to Google Cloud Shell as well.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like the first time you go to Google Cloud Shell. And if you go to, all right, this is a good one, shell.cloud.google.com/?show=IDE.
Okay.
If you
very easy to say.
Yeah, right. So it's a little, if you just look up like Google Cloud Shell, you get kind of mixed results, but this is the one that actually brings you to the shell. It will ask you, it's like, do you understand what the hell you're doing? Like, do you even know what's going on here?
Yes,
and I'm like,
computer.
Sure, whatever, Google, give me whatever this is for free. So it's going to start provisioning. And if you just go to like the regular Google Cloud Shell link, can we switch over to your screen for a second?
Ooh, yeah,
if you can. It'll send you to this other link, and this other link is very confusing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I originally just searched Google Cloud Shell.
Yeah. So this is what you'll get if you just search for Google Cloud Shell.
I love that it says "Welcome, hacker."
Right. Click on Agree and Continue. And this is gonna like, hopefully it won't pop up anything about billing, but sometimes it's like it basically tries to tell you about billing and stuff. But Google Cloud Shell is free. So
there's a whole security section.
Yeah. Oh, there's tons of stuff here.
ReCAPTCHA?
I haven't even fully gone into this stuff, but it looks super juicy. Like, this is all stuff that's free and comes with Google. So we might cover some of this other stuff later. Yeah. But let's see. Go up to the top of the little.
It says provisioning.
Oh well, yeah. Oh, so you can see that there's a terminal down there, and you can basically like. Click on Open Editor.
Where is that?
Right there. And let's see if it does anything. So like there's a couple so there's a couple different ways of getting to this. It's still like, you know, the wrong window. There's an easier way of doing this, but still, you can just go to the link that Michael went to, and it should pop you out to a window that looks like roughly the same. Yeah, it's just not very convenient, as you can see. It's like,
yeah, this is what I found. Just
yeah, it says go to console,
and then just go to console. Yeah, and
go back to the search.
The search.
Yeah, the search that you did.
Yeah.
Okay, so scroll down, and let's take a look. Oh, man. It's always like the third result or something, or at least there was the third result for me. But using Google Cloud Shell, maybe it's this one. Oh no, this is the FAQ. Yeah, so
I don't know what
there's like I'm just showing that like if you just Google this, you get a kind of a bunch of nonsense. Yeah. So try just going to shell.cloud.google.com.
Shell.
Shell.cloud.google.com. I just want to see what the minimum address we can give people is that actually drops them into something that's not confusing. Okay, cool. So that's the minimum address you can put in to get to the right ID.
Shell.cloud.google.com.
Yeah, because if you just Google this, ironically, Google doesn't do a great job of making this easy to find. Isn't that stupid? So I'm also going to go to Sherlock and have that up.
Should I show your screen?
Not until I find the right results.
You're like, no.
There's so many things called Sherlock. Okay, now yes. So Michael's Cloud Shell is provisioning. You can see that it's automatically logged him in to Google Cloud Shell based on the account that he was already in. But so on mine, we're going to take a look at the tool that I first used to discover this. If we scroll down, you can see that it has an option to open in Google Cloud Shell, or you could run on REPL.it.
Ooh, can you just look at that link? Like how
REPL.it?
No, the Cloud Shell link.
Yeah.
Like how did they make it so that it goes to your Google Cloud Shell and it runs all that code? Like, is that like some API they're using, or?
I'm sure. I've never done this, so I was actually kind of surprised by it. But you can see, no. I don't want to do that. I want to use this account.
And I'm sure I'm going to have to blur all that. Oh, of course.
Enjoy. So it's just like, do you trust this repo? You're about to clone the repo. And I'm like, yes, I do. And it should clone the repository into my Cloud Shell for me, which is a great first step of getting started with the software. It just prevents me from having to do something extra. But even if it doesn't work, it just opens up Google Cloud Shell. And this is something that I had no idea that Google Cloud Shell existed until I was covering up Sherlock and encountered this for the first time. So you can see my Minikube has stopped and it's provisioning my Cloud Shell. And
it really loves provisioning, doesn't it?
Yeah, it takes a while for it to set up and everything, which is annoying. Oh, and I also probably have to stop blocking everything related to Google.
Yeah, I was going to say NoScript is probably messing.
NoScript is very aggressive about Google Cloud Shell. Sometimes I have to use, is yours spun up? Sometimes I have to use Chrome purely because it just will not let me run it.
Yeah, I have something.
Let's see. All on this page, temporarily trusted.
I love this. Your free trial is waiting. Activate now for a $300 credit to explore Google Cloud products.
Yeah, cool. We're not going to do that, though, because it's just going to steal our data and sell it to someone else. But still, cool.
Kubernetes engine. That sounds cool.
Yeah, Kubernetes. We could do
VMware. So we could probably spin up a Kali VM.
Maybe. They have a bunch of existing ones that already are a thing. Let's switch over to yours for a second because I am going to copy and paste this into Chrome and see if it works. So for you, do you have does it give you the option to see the console or open terminal?
Open terminal. It really likes.
It's provisioning forever. So this is. Do you have uBlock Origin running?
That might. Let's turn that off. That might be the source of some problems. I'm gonna leave the page and refresh.
So because Google is blocked by so many ad blockers, you might run into some problems here.
Oh, I probably have ad block running as well. It really wants me to create a project. Do you know what that's about?
Yeah, it'll basically separate it from the rest of your code and differentiate everything. I have just copied and pasted. We can switch back to mine. So, surprisingly, this just seems to work better on Google Chrome than Firefox. Isn't that stupid? I've managed to get it to work before,
silly.
but it's basically all your privacy blocking stuff is going to go crazy as soon as it sees all these Google IPs.
It's as if it's designed for Chrome.
Yeah, oh my gosh, right? So, now we're in Chrome.
It's a conspiracy against Firefox.
I can type who am I? Oops, no. Down here, I can select this and type who am I?
You're Cody.
No, I'm Big Varonis. Cool, so I'm in my Varonis Gmail account. I'm gonna go ahead and type ls. Oops. And we can see exactly what we see up here. So let's go ahead and try something. I'm gonna do a Linux command, mkdir. I'll try to enlarge this as well. Make sure test. Look at that, we just created the test directory and now it is
that's
created
cool.
up here. cd test.
I feel like that's a good way too to teach people about Linux, especially working directories and navigating file structures. Someone that's used to seeing a GUI, like that can help.
Exactly. And this is what we've been teaching journalists, like how to create a file, open a file, navigate. So we just changed, so we created a directory called test. We changed directory into it, and then I'm going to go nano hello.txt. And as you can see, nano's pre-installed. Hello, Michael.
Hello, sir.
Control X, Y for yes.
It's a lowercase, Michael, because
Whatever.
they're not important.
Okay, and then if we click on this right here, we can see that there's now a file. If I click on it, look at that. It opens up, and we can see it previewed there.
You just got yourself a lowercase k in your lower thirds.
rm dash rf test ls. Oh wait, cd. Boom. And now we've deleted that message to Michael because he didn't appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's just the basics of how we can use Google Cloud Shell. As you can see on the top, we get the File Explorer, and we also get the preview. And on the bottom, we get a Linux terminal that we can use to create files, run tools, and do all sorts of other interesting stuff.
Cool. Why don't we download a tool and run it?
Yeah, let's do it. So my target today is going to be a bunch of Swedish/Norwegian neo-Nazi terrorists that I was teaching the journalists how to do research on. So let's go ahead, and in this case, I'm going to use Sherlock. So let's go back to, Firefox. And I'm going to go back. So it basically, it seems to like open, at least in Firefox, it seems to just open the Cloud Shell, but it doesn't actually run anything. So I'm going to use a little trick and just chain these commands together because I hate running them one by one, and you guys can do this too. Go ahead and use your best text editor, which is, of course, the
URL bar.
Yeah, always. And you can have this, then do and the next command, which is just cd Sherlock, so I'll just type that out. And cd Sherlock, and then the last part right here. And then copy this whole thing, and let's drop this into our Google Cloud Shell. All right, so it's downloading Sherlock, it's changing directories into Sherlock, and then it should go ahead and install all of the necessary repositories, libraries that it needs in order to work. So this is great because if we find a simple Python tool, we just want to run it. Okay, so for example, the Python installation on my MacBook Pro is a mess. It is shredded. I have like an IDE that's installed at 2 separate times. I have like Homebrew that's installed it. It came pre-installed. There's so many conflicts and problems that it's just messed up. So for me, if I want to try out a Python tool and make sure it will run on anybody's computer, I'll just spin up Google Cloud Shell, run it here, and just test it to see if it works as advertised. So going back to the installation instructions, we can run this to get the options and see if it's installed correctly. And I'm going to bring this up. And there we go. We can see that we have, in fact, successfully been able to install this tool. So let's go ahead and actually do something. So we're going to try to find usernames. We're going to look for NordFront, which is that sketchy group that I mentioned. And we're going to, let's see, basically use this kind of suggestion to build stuff around it to try to save it as a file as well. So we can see CSV is something we can specify to make sure that it's saved as a comma-separated value file. And also it looks like we'll need to use output in order to specify what the output is going to be. So let's go ahead and run, we'll type ls, so Python 3, Sherlock, where is it? Wait, where is it?
It disappeared into the
Oh, no,
ether.
it's, no, it's
Is it in a different file?
I see it, but Python 3. It's probably just in Sherlock CD, Sherlock ls. Sherlock.py. Yeah, it's right there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So Python 3, Sherlock.py. We're going to do
You're in
dash
Sherlock.
dash
Sherlock.
out. Yeah, Sherlock. Dash dash output is going to be NordFront. Dash dash CSV. And then we'll do, is it positional? The last argument for who we're stalking? Yeah, it looks like positional. So what's a positional argument?
It just matters what order it's given in.
Exactly. So if we go up to the top, we can see that the positional argument is just the last one. So this command should work if we do NordFront. And here we go. Let's see if it actually does it. I'm going to scroll this down and see if I can actually open up the directories and we'll hope to see
I don't think I've
it
even
right.
heard of some of those websites.
Right? It does such a thorough job of scraping around and trying to find stuff.
Bandcamp.
Well, that's music. But this group puts out like a sketchy podcast where they call for like journalists to be beheaded and stuff. It's really
it's that one?
It's really classic.
Oh.
Yeah. So as this runs, you can see our file system is represented again over here. And we can go through and see like what this looks like in terms of the installation, what files were downloaded, and we can also close it or collapse it so we don't get too confused. And right now, we're keeping all of our Sherlock stuff in Sherlock. So it means that our stuff is kind of separated. If you go and start installing stuff all in the home directory, then like it starts getting confusing.
Yeah,
really
I was
fast.
going to say, so I'm assuming that you've used Google Cloud Shell before, so why aren't we seeing other things you've installed here? Why are we only seeing Sherlock?
So I have a lot of burner accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in my primary one, I have everything. It's just like absolutely full of stuff.
Yeah, I was
But
wondering if it were like a persistence thing.
Yeah, there definitely is. So if I were to open this up again in like a week or something, then we would end up, oops, no, I didn't mean to do that. Oh no, wait, maybe I did. But I guess we'll see. Oh yeah, a bunch of sketchy, let's translate it.
If you were to open this in a week though, it would or would not be there.
Yeah, it would be
installed.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, so, oops, yeah, so I found that you can also just click on any of these things and it will show you information about this sketchy group. We'll translate to English. This is in
So
Swedish.
all of those links mean that there's an account on that platform.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and so, of course, there's a little bit of, like, cursing going on here because these are far-right Nazis. But
Yeah.
in general, like, as this runs, and it seems like it's a little bit stuck right now, but as it runs, it will output something, an end result, and allow us to, try to dig a little bit more into
Well, and
this
something I would
organization. Oh, there we
remind
go.
people with using this particular tool is that doesn't necessarily mean that that's actually NordFront. It could just be
Someone
one
who
of their
grabbed the screen
member
name.
or someone that grabbed a screen name. So
Okay, so it looks like we're done. Let's see if it actually saved it anywhere. So we tried to save it as NordFront, and I'm not seeing it, but let's see, can I search this way? I've never tried it.
yeah,
Here
there
it is. There we go, I think. Whoa. Okay, so this is a folder under
Is a
Sherlock.
file, maybe.
No, that's my history. That's my bash history.
Oh.
But these are the results.
Yeah, no, that's a file.
Okay, weird. All right, so we have a list of results. This is not a CSV file, but I suppose there's only one column, so that's fine. A little bit confused about why it's on a CSV file, and this search function is also confusing. Let's see, I just want to go through it manually and see what's going on here. So nothing there. What if I go one layer deep?
Yeah, you got to go into Sherlock.
Oh, nordfront.csv. Here it is. Oh my gosh. I was going to freak out, you guys, if this was just not working. All right, so let's open this up in the Explorer and see what we found. So we can see this has the username, the name, the main URL, whether or not it exists, the HTTP status, so whether when they try to go to that profile, is it actually there, and then the response time. So lots of valuable information for anybody who wants to dig into this. They can see all the different tests that were run, and you can click on any of these results to go over and see what is actually there. Available, claimed, available.
Is
claimed.
it possible to add additional websites to Sherlock, or are you just stuck with the default ones?
If you know Python, I'm sure you can. I don't know. I don't have the time to do that, but I imagine you totally could if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So Michael, on your screen, I hate for you to bite the bullet, but go ahead and copy that, jump into Chrome, and then open up Cloud Shell. Let's see if we can get.
Well, it's going to be in a different account than Chrome.
That's a bummer. But either way, go ahead and try that while I'm on my screen, because
what do you want me to do?
Just see if you can get it to provision successfully, because it seems like on Firefox it's very difficult to get this up and running sometimes. So while you're doing that, I just want to show you guys how easy it is to download this result. If I just right mouse click on it, you can see that I can do a download right here. And boom, now it's on my local computer. I can open it up and see whatever's on there. I can put it into some program, manipulate it, run some rules on it. It is great. You can also see that there's some other options here, like select for compare or compare with. This is pretty cool, and I actually haven't really used it that much, but you can compare it with other versions of this file, which is very interesting if you want to do a comparison.
Okay.
That's not going anywhere. Oh, there you go. It's just slow.
Yeah, I was going to say we're dropping frames because it's running two monitors.
Oh, wow. All right, so Michael's going to try out going to Google Cloud Shell on Chrome to confirm my theory that this is an issue with Firefox.
Yeah, I haven't switched my screen yet.
Yep. And another tool that we can use that I think works really well is Twint. So on mine, I'm going to go over here.
I think we've covered that in a previous live stream. But if y'all haven't seen that, basically that's a tool for scraping Twitter, finding posts by a particular user. And then you can do all kinds of data analytics with that.
Yeah, so let's do the same thing. We're just going to put this all together. I'm going to be... Watch how lazy I am, you guys. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. So we're going to go to Google Cloud Shell. I'm going to CD... So we're... Oops, no, get out of here. I'm going to CD... No, what are you doing? Type in here. CD. There. I'm going to then, let's see, I'm going to nano install.sh. I'm going to paste these instructions. No. Oh, it copied.
So apparently I think on my main account I have used Cloud Shell in the past, but it's been a while, so it's saying it's going to take a very long time to provision.
Oh, interesting. Well, you should also go to shell.cloud.google. And that will take you away from the thing you're at. No, so when you click in this also, it goes ahead and copies the cell. So if you have something already selected,
I have a terminal.
It's terrible. All right, so here I'm going to go ahead and just craft this command and I'm going to save it and then sudo bash install.sh. Is it going to work? Oh my god, it worked. That's so lazy. All right, so I literally copied and pasted the installation instructions from GitHub into a .sh file and then ran sudo bash install.sh. Wonderful. Let's see if it actually works. Oh, in fact, it won't because I'm an idiot and I didn't read this. So what I need to do in order to make sure it really, really works is install this version, because for whatever reason, if I install via this version, it will run into this horrible problem, which I'm going to test for before we actually get too far into it. Hey, did you get your Cloud Shell working?
Yeah, I was also doing the README.
Oh yeah, there's a README.
Which I can show maybe if I can find my mouse. But yeah, there's... I don't know why that popped up.
It just loves to give you information.
But yeah, so apparently we have a 5 gigabyte home directory.
Yeah, yep.
And something about basically the VM resetting after 20 minutes, after the session ends. No system-wide change will persist beyond that.
Yes, and that just means you probably can't set up your like malware, like command and control server on this. It might not be a good candidate. So there we go. Like Michael has got his Google Cloud Shell up and working, and it really does seem to just be Firefox versus Chrome, and some of these privacy-focused browser extensions really mess this up. We might be able to get it working if we were to also like log in and go through that whole process in like an incognito or private browser window. But overall, it's easier to just run this in Chrome if you're going to go ahead and do it. So cool. Thank you for getting that set up.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch over to mine. We're now done installing Twint, and we're going to check and see if following literally just the directions is enough to get this running in my.
I would hope so.
So I'm going to type Twint. Tac, no, wait, I'm just going to type twint --h. Did it work? Did this install? Does it know what Twint is?
Twint? What's that?
Twint, error, ambiguous. Okay, you mean help? Oh yeah, fine. Help. You know what I mean, Twint. Yeah, okay, it installed. That's great. So let's go ahead and actually try scraping some tweets. And we'll go ahead and let's scrape my tweets. Why not, right?
Sure,
so,
nothing could possibly go wrong.
So twint.-u Cody Kinsey. Let's see if it works. If it does, okay, it actually worked. Okay, so for whatever reason, it worked, and that's great, but it doesn't always work. And if you get a none type result, then you can go ahead and just install it via the second way that it tells you to, or this one right here, the pip3 install ---- user -- upgrade .get whatever. This works, and it installs the most updated version. I don't know why these other versions do not, these other installation steps do not, but this one is the one that works for me on Google Cloud Shell 100% of the time. You can also do a fun little aliased one that I did, which is, oh my gosh. Actually, I think I just scraped it. So, no, sorry, I tweet a lot. Oh my gosh, look at all these tweets. So right now, this is all output to my console. Like, this is like...
You're a tweeter.
Yeah, this is thrilling.
Such a tweeter.
But not necessarily helpful. Oh, here it is. You can now set up Twint to scrape Twitter accounts on Google Cloud Shell with this short command because I got tired of typing up a much longer one. Here it is. So I just used Twint to look up something I wrote on Twitter. Oh, screw you, Twitter. It replaced my URL. But okay, so if you guys want to set up Twint really easily, really easily, then you can do this. Although I'm going to fix this because Twitter is being presumptuous. Oops. All right, that's it. Wait, no. What is this?
Gay.
Wait.
Did you make a typo in your tweets?
No, I didn't. It just like copied wrong. Google Cloud Shell is all wonky about copying. What was the whole?
That's weird.
Bash.
You forgot your own command.
Oops. Oh my gosh, wait, I'm going crazy. I'm gonna have to look it up. No, wait, on yours, go to my Twitter and let's look that up because it's a fun little shortcut. Basically what this does is it downloads that script that I just showed you and runs it. But also you should never do this. Because if you just let some random script download off the internet, I've obfuscated this as well. So it makes it really difficult to know exactly what is inside the scripts. But if you were to just navigate to it, you can see that it just very simply goes to some scripts. So it's going to do the pip3 install user upgrade, blah, 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 blah. Of course, like that's just, you know, a little bit long.
Twitter's trying to make me sign in.
Oh my gosh.
Just a view.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Well, okay. All right, you guys. Sorry, Michael doesn't want to figure it out, so that's fine.
No, it literally gives me a login prompt, and I don't know what...
Okay. Well, that's sad. But anyway, you guys can kind of see how simple it is to install this. For me, I just created a little bash file, and then I also tried to make a shortcut, but Michael doesn't
I think
want
I can go to it on my phone.
to log in.
Maybe.
But yeah, here you can see there's lots of different tweets I've been able to download, but these aren't really filtered very well. Really, if I want to, wait, what is this character? Whatever this is that like this has stripped out is really what's wrong here. But I'm not gonna freak out anymore about it.
Oh my gosh, Twitter is so insistent that I log in.
Yes, I do it. Okay, if I want to go back to the help file.
I don't know my credentials though.
Why do we keep telling people to go to your Twitter if you don't even know your credentials? So we're gonna go to the help. And let's actually download something now. So in this case, we're going to do images. How about that? So display only tweets with images. Whoa, I didn't want to go to that. That's not a URL. Okay, so images, and then what else should we do? We want to save this as maybe a CSV file. So we can store it as like a pandas type if we want to work with Python pandas. We can use Tor if we want to. We can use proxies to scrape if we want to. There we go. So CSV is the format that we'll use. And then how do we select an output? Output -O. Okay, so that's everything we need. So let's do twint. We'll do --CSV. We'll do --O. And then photos. We'll do --images. And then we'll do -U. Cody can
What's
see.
the difference between photos and images?
One is a real command and the other isn't.
Okay.
Images, and there's no photos.
Gotcha.
So I'm just saving this as photos.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, sorry. That's a little confusing. So --O is just the output file name.
Okay. No, I fall.
All right, let's try it. Is it just O or --O? I should double check. Sometimes it's squirrely. It's just -O, not --O. Come on. Get real.
But the others are --?
Yeah, that's why I'm so indignant.
That is very confusing.
Okay, so this is now, at least hopefully, only scraping things that have a photo. So let's see. In this case, I am stating that my pencil holder has reached peak entropy. Let's see if this is actually true. And yes, this in fact has a soy sauce bottle, a roll of medical tape, and a Baofeng radio. So
oh my gosh,
this is not looking good for my my pencil holder. So these are all the tweets then that contain the information I'm looking for, photos. And if I want to go back up, this looks a little overwhelming, but I can just close. Oh gosh, see, this is my main one. There's tons of stuff in here. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to close Spiderfoot. I'm going to close all this other stuff, and I'm in Twint. So I'm going to go to Twint, and hopefully I see something called photos. If not, I can just look for photos. If it's there.
It's thinking.
Oh yeah,
about
Twint.
it.
Oh well, it sees it in my bash profile. It's weird the way that this like indexes and looks for it. Because I clearly said I wanted to output it, so I'm assuming that it's outputted somewhere.
And the directory you ran the command in.
Yeah, but if I just type ls, well, maybe if I just type ls. Oh no!
What have you done?
And it's just opening Twitter like a million times. Photos. Okay, so if I cd photos, I didn't know it was going to create a folder, but sure, do your thing. And tweets.csv. Okay, so that confused me a little bit, but it's right here. I can click on it, double click on it, and then I can see the results are here.
Was that
Get out of here. I don't want that. Or this. So same as we did before, we can just download these results by right mouse clicking on them and then clicking on download, or we can compare them to some other version of the file. So yeah, these are all of my tweets that have had photos attached to them, or at least as many as this was able to scrape. And sometimes the bot will get like cut off at a certain point, and you can run it again, see if you get more, compare the different files.
Is it possible to run it just on like a certain time frame or something? So that way you can like scrape like the first year and then another year and another year?
Yes, it totally is.
Okay.
So, I wanted these to be in the same folder. So I was going to select for compare. I actually haven't done this before.
I was going to say, is there one last cool thing to show off before we run out of time?
Yeah, I want to compare with selected. Cool. Okay, so these these are identical. But it's still, I just wanted to compare these two. And see, you can open a comparison view and see if you're getting like different results line by line. So as I said, sometimes you'll get more results by running a scan over again. But I still think it's cool that you can do comparisons. So I'm not even sure if I did that right. So select for compare with selected.
So are there any tools that you've encountered so far that you could not run on Google Cloud Shell?
Yeah. So anything, for example, I tried to run Spiderfoot and it just ran for like an hour. And it was very, very, very annoying because typically you run Spiderfoot with a web interface. So like creating, like not being able to join the web interface unless you like make it like external facing or something, was very annoying. So anything that like typically you would need like a GUI to use, like becomes kind of an ordeal to use.
Gotcha.
So, okay, this is pretty typical for any Python installation. I think we're pretty much done with going through Google Cloud Shell today. But hopefully you guys can see how easy it is for us to just take some tool that we find on GitHub, run an installation, or just create a little bash file where we literally copy and paste the installation instructions from the GitHub itself, and then just run it on Google Cloud Shell. Now, I've been using this a lot in order to get started with these tools, so it's an easy way for you to install something that you might maybe hesitate to install on your own computer, although again, I seriously recommend using a throwaway Gmail account to do this because you don't want your primary one being associated with malicious behavior if you accidentally run the wrong program.
Yeah. And also, like you mentioned too, the fact that ostensibly Google's tracking everything you do on this account, so it seems like that's another point in favor of using a throwaway account to begin with.
Yes, definitely. So in general, if you want to graduate from this, you can always set up your own VPS and really customize this, make it so that no one is peeking over your shoulder, or at least you have a better chance at keeping everything encrypted. But for now, if you just want to try out Linux tools or you want to follow along with some of our OSINT stuff, then you can try out Google Cloud Shell, and it's a great resource for doing so. Now, as I mentioned, there are downsides. If you are going to be running not Twint, but the Harvester, for example, on Google Cloud Shell, it uses Google dorking. Now, Google dorking is a rapid series of automated Google searches. And guess what that triggers?
Ban.
Yep, it will ban your IP address because it's like, hey, this is a bot that's abusing the server. It's sending too much traffic. So we're going to put this server in a timeout. So you can definitely trigger that on your Google Cloud Shell account. And even though it's not going to shut down your Gmail account, it will make it so you can't run any tools that are doing scraping for a while.
I do wonder, since this is free, you could probably set a VPN up on it and just make your own VPN just with Google Cloud Shell.
Yeah. Google also has a VPN where you can just send your data directly to them that way.
Yes.
But if you want to take a little bit of extra effort to send your data directly to Google, you can do that too. But yeah, I mean, or if you wanted to set this up to do like a VPN goes into this and this goes into Tor or something or whatever.
Or this goes into another VPS that has VPN running on it or something. I don't know.
Whatever you want to do. Get creative with it. So there's some other great products that are actually super useful for hackers that Google makes. One of them that we can't fully go over, but is really, really cool is Google Colabs. And this, some hackers have been able to figure out, actually gives you access to 2 GPUs that are pretty beefy, and you can do some interesting cracking stuff on them. So it's really interesting poking around these free Google resources that are provided without very much documentation. And again, I had some trouble finding this. Even just Googling it, it can be a little bit difficult to get to. So remember, if you want to test this out some more, just go to shell.cloud.google.com and it will open up the console and you can just get started right away. And if you want to be a little bit more advanced with this, you can open up your own project workspace and do all this other stuff that's very cool as well. But to be honest, I don't care about any of that. I just want to use this as quickly as possible. And I've really enjoyed learning how to use this myself and teaching other people about how Linux works with this really easy to use resource.
Yeah, just reading the README, it seems that it's intended to just like connect all like Google Cloud products together. So it's like supposed to be a way to interface with all those. But I think we've discovered that you can use it for other things as well.
Definitely. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining us today. If you want to check out some other great content, check out the threat update on the Varonis brand account, where our sometimes co-host Killian is going to be going over various threats that Varonis customers are facing. So if you want to learn about what malware is out there and what customers that we have are doing to prevent it from infecting them, then you can check out the threat update, which has a lot of great info.
Awesome.
Yep. So that's all we have for today. Thank you everyone who joined us, and hopefully you found this interesting. If you have any other great ideas, please let us know. If you have any questions, we're going to be doing a live episode, I believe, next week on Wednesday, where I think we're also hopefully going to be announcing the winner of our first prize. Thank you to everyone who signed up. If you guys want to go to hackingwithfriends.com or
info.varonis.com/securityforward,
then you can sign up for our email list and potentially win a prize. And also, we will let you know when we are doing events, when we're going live, and we'll give you a little roundup of all the stuff we're doing so you can look forward to all the great events we're looking forward to doing in the future.
Hack.k is also a URL you can go to.
Yeah, so if you wanna check out some of our other content, you can also go to hack.k because that is my personal domain.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
All right, so we will see you guys next time. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and yeah, bye.